You know, it's a damn shame when the Republicans, Trump and Pence, Kellyanne Conway, etc., 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 go on Fox, which we all know Fox to those people is like a warm and cushy bed with thick comforters and covers that you pull up over your head in order to get a peaceful, restful sleep. Well, Mike Pence went on with Chris Wallace on his Sunday show and did the same thing that they always do. They don't answer questions, and he didn't, and they spin and they lie. I'm going to play this the clip from the Chris Wallace show. I think I might have said Mike earlier. Chris Wallace show. And I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, Donald Trump really, scares the crap out of me as far as him becoming president of the United States. But you know something? Mike Pence might even be worse because he doesn't have a spine or a backbone, and you really don't know what he's thinking because he never says anything other than spinning. Here we go.
Begin with the Republican vice presidential nominee, Indiana Governor Mike Pence, who joins us live from Des Moines, Iowa. And Governor, welcome back to Fox News Sunday.
Thank you, Chris. Good to be back.
Let's start with breaking news on the debate story. After the Clinton camp announced that it was inviting billionaire and Trump critic Mark Cuban to sit in the front row at the debate, Trump invited Jennifer Flowers, who once had an affair with President Clinton, to also sit in the front row, and she has accepted that invitation. Two questions. Why would Trump do that, and will Jennifer Flowers actually be there tomorrow night?
Well, look, Hillary Clinton apparently thinks this is an episode of Shark Tank, but this is America, Chris. It's serious business. The American people have an enormously important choice to make, and Donald Trump's tweet was really mocking the fact that Hillary Clinton was trying to distract attention away from this moment in our national life where the American people are going to see a strong contrast between the broad-shouldered leadership of Donald Trump, who's prepared to rebuild our military, reduce taxes, repeal Obamacare, stand by our Constitution, and
if I may, sir, because we've got limited.
All right, see, and that's the number one tool. All of these people go into filibuster mode. Okay, so to cut to the chase, Mark Cuban is a supporter of Hillary Clinton, obviously. He has gone on the campaign trail campaigning for Hillary Clinton. So for him to show up at the debate is that not really that much of a stretch. Now, Mark Cuban did get out there and attack Donald Trump by tweet, okay? And if Trump had in turn attacked Cuban, okay, or counterattacked Cuban by tweet, that would have been fair game. Trump didn't do that. He brings up a 20-year-old floozy that Bill Clinton was having sex with. I like to clean it up. Okay. Who has, number one, not endorsed Donald Trump, not been on Donald Trump's campaign. Really, Trump was doing this in order to deflect away from the support that Mark Cuban is giving the Clintons. So he brought it up. It wasn't the Clinton people that brought it up, which is something that Kellyanne Conway tried to do in another early morning talk show, but was called on it by the talk show host.
who simply offers
We've got
a
limited
third
time.
Obama term.
I don't want to ask you, will Jennifer Flowers be there?
Jennifer Flowers will not be attending the debate tomorrow night, but Donald Trump was using the tweet yesterday really to mock an effort by Hillary Clinton and her campaign to really distract attention from where the American people are going to be focused tomorrow night.
That's not what Jennifer Flowers thought. She thought that Trump was actually making an invitation to her, and she tweeted back that she was more than happy to accept his invitation. So I guess we'll see tonight whether she shows or not.
It's on the issues. It's about the choice that we face. I mean, Hillary Clinton essentially wants to continue the policies of this administration that have weakened America's place in the world, stifled America's economy, walked away from our most cherished constitutional principles, and I can't wait to see the debate tomorrow night, because I just know that Donald Trump, who is a leader who literally embodies the American spirit, is going to be able to present that message and present that choice to the American.
But Governor,
in the interest of full disclosure, I really want to cut these guys off when they start filibustering, but that wouldn't be fair, and it wouldn't really give you the full flavor of what they're doing. So as much as I hate it and my ears ring every time they start on a 5-minute diatribe about all of the attributes and glory of Donald Trump, I kind of got to let them have their say until the moderator cuts them off. And Chris does a pretty decent job of cutting these guys off. The only guy that's really better at cutting them off, well, the only two people that are better at cutting them off is Chris Matthews, and he will cut them off. And lately, Joy Reid has been nailing them to the wall as well.
Pence, I've got to ask you, because there's a Wall Street Journal poll we'll be talking about at greater length later that shows that people's top concern about Donald Trump is, one, his temperament, and two, his language, especially towards women. So why would Trump even go down the road of bringing up Jennifer Flowers, who once had an affair with a president?
Well, the question really should be, why was Hillary Clinton in her campaign?
No, that's not what the question really should be. The question really should be what Chris just asked you, not what you're going to try to spin it to.
You know, inviting some a celebrity basketball team owner to the debate to sit on the front row, someone who has mocked and ridiculed my running mate.
Do you really see those two as equivalent? Do you really see those two as equivalent, Mark Cuban and Jennifer Flowers?
Well, look, you know, Mark Cuban has been
He's not going to answer the question because there is no equivalency.
Out there saying some pretty tough stuff about my running mate, but Mark Cuban knows about as much about national security as I do about professional basketball. But the truth is that Donald Trump has a unique way of communicating to the American people, and I think
he lies.
His tweet yesterday was all about demonstrating that here we have in Hillary Clinton and her campaign just a couple of days before a debate of enormous importance in the life of our nation. She was trying to distract attention, her campaign trying to play games with front row seats, and Donald Trump's not about that. He's going to focus in this debate tomorrow night, as he has throughout this election, on the issues the American people care about. I think that's why you see the momentum in this campaign. As I here in Iowa last night, before an enormous crowd here, I was in North Carolina earlier this week, in Williamsburg, Virginia, in the pouring rain with 650
Governor, I don't mean to interrupt, but I want to try to...
Yeah, okay. See, Chris caught him trying to filibuster again. And if Donald Trump wasn't about trying to manipulate front row seats, then why did he bring up the fact that he was going to invite Jennifer Flowers to sit in one of those front row seats? Hypocrite.
And I want to try to get this campaign, and that's why Donald Trump is on his way to the White House.
I want to try to get some questions. You say you want to talk issues. Let's talk issues, because one of them clearly in the first debate tomorrow night, in the wake of the shooting in Charlotte this last week, is going to be race and policing. After looking at the videos that were released by Charlotte police last night, does Donald Trump, and do you believe that the police acted reasonably in the shooting of Keith Scott?
You can forget about an answer to this question, because Donald Trump's already had his wrist slapped by the Fraternal Order of Police as far as calling out the Tulsa, Oklahoma officer that killed that man, and she's been indicted. So you know damn well that you're not going to get an answer on the police killing Mr. Scott.
Well, I have seen the videos, and I think at this point we need to let the investigation go forward. I was in North Carolina yesterday, and I think we should pray for the families of those who lost their lives in these police action shootings, both in North Carolina and in Oklahoma. You know, that we mourn with those who mourn, and we do well to remember that any loss of life is precious. The American people are entitled, the people of Charlotte are entitled to swift and immediate investigation that's transparent, and be confident that justice is served. But people are entitled also to peaceably assemble, but they're not entitled to engage in violence against persons or property. I'm pleased to see now for several days in a row those demonstrations have been peaceable. But at the end of the day, we also need to step away from efforts by Hillary Clinton and others to paint law enforcement in this country with the broad brush of racial bias. Hillary Clinton this week, before all the facts were in the wake of an African-American police officer involved in a police action shooting that cost the life of a citizen in Charlotte, referred to the implicit bias in policing. Donald Trump and I don't believe that law enforcement in this country is a force for racism or division. Donald Trump and I know what the American...
My God. I mean, when they ramble on and on and on, okay, but my response to that is that maybe not 100% of the police departments show implicit bias and racism, but enough of them do that it should be addressed. But obviously, you guys will not address it. I say that because I look at the racist tweets by the San Francisco Police Department and the fact that they went through 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 police chiefs within a 30-day period because of questionable things in their backgrounds, let us say. How about the racist tweets down in Florida? Police department in the Florida jurisdiction. Same thing with the racist tweets. How about the Department of Justice report on Ferguson about how the police were using and abusing its black residents? How about the Department of Justice report on Cleveland, the city where Tamir Rice was killed, about the bigoted opinions and actions of the Cleveland Police Department? Let us not forget the recently released Department of Justice report on the police department in the city of Baltimore. That report was horrendous and pointed to out and out racist actions, homophobic actions, sexist actions by the Baltimore Police Department. There are more. There are more. The city of Milwaukee, which is currently undergoing an investigation on its police department. I would be remiss in not mentioning that Sheriff Supercoon David Clark has got a problem because a man died in his jail from dehydration because they didn't give this man water for 9 days and he died. That is now under investigation, and that doesn't even count the federal investigation that Clark is under for violating the civil rights and out lying to cover one of his officers' asses in an accident that his officer caused, and they tried to blame it on a poor woman and persecuted her for 6 months until she got an attorney and filed a federal lawsuit. Again, I could go on, just like Mr. Pence, except what I'm saying can be checked out. Unfortunately, what he's saying can't. Let's get back to the video.
People know that law enforcement in this country is a force for good. Police officers, whether they be white or African American or Asian or Hispanic or Latino,
right? Police
officers in this country are the best of us.
You notice he said Hispanic or Latino. I'm just laughing at that one. I'm trying to. Would love to ask him if he can explain the difference to me between Hispanic and Latino. That's when you know that they're basically going to rote responses on things.
Put their lives on the line for us every day. So we just truly do believe that let these investigations go forward. Let the public be confident that the facts will be presented. Justice will.
But see, that's the problem. The public is not confident that the facts are going to be presented. Just take this Charlotte case alone. They didn't want to release the videos. Okay, they were forced to release the videos by public pressure. Just like the situation in Chicago. They didn't want to release the video there either. And once the video got released, heads started rolling, okay? And in Charlotte, we haven't seen all of the video, okay? They even acknowledge that they've only given us some of the videos, okay? And they still are going to have to answer a hell of a lot of questions, principal of which is why did they and how did they legally become focused on Mr. Scott when rolling a joint is such a inside your car is such a minor inconvenience. Even they stated that they would have ignored it. But now they claim that it was the brandishing of a gun that drew their attention. Well, having a gun in North Carolina, which is an open carry state, is not a crime. Anyway, I'm ranting. Let me just jump back up in here.
Will be served, but let's set aside these efforts to demean law enforcement in this country with the broad brush of racism and move forward in a way that supports law enforcement.
Governor, here is one of Trump's main solutions that he laid out this week to try to stop violence in our inner cities. Here he is.
I would do stop and frisk. I think you have to. We did it in New York. It worked incredibly well, and you have to be proactive.
Stop and frisk did not work well in New York except to inflame black and Hispanic residents. It didn't work well in Baltimore either, as per the Department of Justice report on the Baltimore Police Department. But all of these Trump surrogates, etc., including that racist Rudy mother flipper, Rudy Giuliani, all they scream about is how successful stop and frisk was. Bill Bratton was the author and architect of stop and frisk, known as the broken windows policy, okay? He has acknowledged that there is no correlation between the stop and frisk policy and the reduction of crime in New York. The author has acknowledged that, but for some reason, these guys didn't get the memo. Not to mention that the policy is unconstitutional. It violates the Fourth Amendment, illegal search and seizure, and due process.
But Governor, in New York, where Trump says it was such a success, 80% of those stops, 4 and 5, were stops of either African Americans or Hispanics. And as a result, a federal judge ruled that the stop and frisk policy was unconstitutional.
Well, I know there was one court decision in that regard, but stop and frisk literally saved lives.
Oh, so in this particular case, you don't give a damn about the Constitution, and you.
In New York City when it was implemented. It's been implemented in cities around the country, and it's
like Baltimore, where they just did a study and showed how screwed up it is.
And it's on a sound constitutional footing.
It can't be on a sound constitutional footing if a federal court declared it to be unconstitutional.
This gives law enforcement officers the opportunity
to act on their racist intentions. It gives them license to go after blacks and Hispanics and not have to suffer any of the consequences of it. It's called targeting.
With probable cause to be able to stop and question individuals that they think may be involved or about to be involved in criminal activity. And Donald Trump specifically was talking about the crisis of criminality and murder.
So now the cops are officially licensed clairvoyants because they can look at a person and decide that that person is about to engage in criminal activity. Tell that to the gentleman down in Baltimore that got stopped 30 times in a year, documented 30 times in a year. He was stopped so many times by the same cops that he was on a first name basis with them. They still stopped him and frisked him. They still hassled him, but at least he knew their first names because he filed complaints.
In Chicago, I mean, my parents were both born and raised in Chicago. My grandfather came from Chicago when he immigrated to this country. It is a great and wonderful city, but to see the avalanche of violence in that city, Donald Trump is the kind of leader that's going to say, let's take a policy that worked in New York City, that reduced violent crime in New York City, and stop and frisk and bring it to Chicago, Illinois. And that's just the kind of leadership he's going to continue to provide.
Governor, I want to ask
you. He is a man that you will find is impatient with failure and impatient
Governor, I want to ask you about another form of his
Chicago can be safe, but it's going to take...
If I can, sir, I want to ask you about another form of Donald Trump's leadership. In the wake of the New York bombing, another big topic on Monday night is likely to be how to protect the homeland, and here's what Trump said about that.
It's time to put firm immigration controls in place. Extreme vetting, right? Extreme vetting.
But Ahmad Rahami, the suspected bomber, came to this country as a child in 1995 and is a naturalized U.S. citizen. So how would extreme vetting have prevented Rahami from these bombings?
That's a great question. How do you extremely vet a 7-year-old kid, because that's how old that guy was when he came to the country, in order to prevent him all these years later from becoming a radical extremist? And not to mention, I believe it was the last 2 or 3 terrorists or persons that committed terrorist acts that were vetted. I think 2 out of the 3 were actually came in as children and became naturalized citizens. But again, back to my original question: how do you vet a 7-year-old kid
that he allegedly committed?
Well, Chris, last week there were several terrorist attacks. There was one in Minnesota. Knife-wielding terrorists in this country, legally under the color of the law, injured 9 people. Thankfully, no loss of life. We had Mr.
Oh yeah. Oh, and the guy, and he was from Somalia. He came in as a child as well. Okay, but just so that you know, and the difference between the two, you got 2 terrorists. Okay, one terrorist is a black-looking terrorist, okay, who did harm but not kill anybody. They killed him. You got another terrorist who comes in and detonates 3 IEDs, injures not 7, but 29 people, and he's taken alive. Okay? He's taken alive. You got a third terrorist who they originally labeled as being Hispanic, but turns out that he was Turkish. He goes into Macy's a mall up in Seattle, Macy's entrance, kills 5 people, and he's taken alive. It's just a mystery of Mike Pence's faith.
Rahami involved in terrorist bombings in New Jersey and New York City, and we don't know the motivation of the permanent legal resident in Washington State who took 5 American lives last night. But I think what you heard Donald Trump talking about was just simply we need common sense back in our immigration policies in this country. We need to begin to recognize that we are at war with radical Islamic terrorism. Hillary Clinton won't even name radical Islamic terrorism. Donald Trump has a plan to confront it. A part of that includes a full review of our immigration policies, suspending immigration from territories and nations that have been compromised by terrorism. And Hillary Clinton actually wants to increase the refugee flow from Syria by 550%. I think what Donald Trump was talking about in the wake of those terrorist attacks a week ago is that we simply have to take a step back. We have to start doing things differently. We have to start putting the safety and security of the American people first, and that's precisely what Donald Trump will do when he becomes president of the United States.
Governor, I want to ask you about one final question and one final issue. The Washington Post reported this week that the Trump Foundation paid out $250,000, more than $250,000 to settle various lawsuits against Trump and Trump businesses. Now, Governor, as I'm sure you know, there are laws against what's called self-dealing, where a charity spends money for the personal benefit of a person or his businesses.
All right. Now, his answer here is going to remind me of the answer that you get from a 5 or 6-year-old kid when you catch them doing something wrong. Their response is, well, little Johnny did it, and how come you don't get him? That's exactly what Pence's answer is going to sound like, except in this particular case, little Johnny, i.e. Hillary Clinton, didn't do it. There was no pay for play, which the papers, the Associated Press has firmly stated. It is not illegal for someone to contribute to the Clinton Foundation, okay, which does good work. Even they can't nail the Clinton Foundation because all of their works are documented. But actually the Supreme Court indicated that it is not illegal for contributions to be made and for access to be given, as long as it's just access. And that's all anybody has ever alleged. Now, you got a couple of people that are trying to blow smoke up everybody's ass, talking about a situation where some Russian businessmen came in and bought 20% of a uranium facility in the United States. They failed to mention that it wasn't just the Department of State at the time that Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State that approved the deal. It was 19 other federal agencies that were unaffiliated with the State Department that also approved the deal, and that in the acquisition of 20% acquisition, now not full control, not 50%, 20%, it is illegal to export uranium outside of this country. So it doesn't matter who owns it, the uranium is going to stay here. Now, maybe some of the money, 20% of the money can flow to the Russian business guys, but, you know, I don't give a shit about that. But they always want to make the false narrative about Clinton sold for $150 million control of our uranium deposits in the country. Clinton is a traitor. No, 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 no. Do your homework, do your research. Don't come with that stupid bullshit, because I've done my homework and research, so I know exactly what went down as far as the transactions were concerned. But again, here's Mr. Pence. He's going to whine like the little baby that he is and try to deflect away from Donald Trump actually breaking the law to Hillary Clinton's not breaking the law, but possibly not showing the best of judgments, let us say.
Well, I think the Trump Foundation has responded to those questions and will continue to answer any issues that arise. I know that.
See, but that's the problem. The Trump Foundation hasn't answered those questions. People have been asking them those questions left and right. They tweeted out, and he's going to reiterate it, that the report in the paper was full of inaccuracies and straight out misstatements. Not even misstatements, just basically just call it the way it is. He said the paper was lying. But the Trump Foundation has not come out and specifically said what they're lying about, and neither can he.
The Washington Post reporting on this has been very, very sketchy. They've been found to be factually incorrect on a number of bases.
Well, no, but they,
you know, I'm
sir,
sure
let me ask you about, sir, if I may, let me ask you about one specific case, and that is the case of the flag in Mar-a-Lago. The city of Palm Beach sued Mar-a-Lago because they had a flag that exceeded zoning barriers. There was a settlement under which Mar-a-Lago, the for-profit club run by Donald Trump, is going to pay $100,000 to a charity. Number one, he didn't pay it, the club didn't pay it, the foundation paid it, and secondly, Donald Trump hasn't contributed a dime to his own foundation since 2008. What kind of a charity is that, sir?
Oops! We're caught with our hands in the cookie jar. How do I get out of this? I must spin.
Well,
He was just stuttering. He was stuttering.
That the Trump Foundation, the family, can answer all of those questions about that specific instance and others, and they have. I think the American people are even more interested.
They haven't. They have not explained. They have not explained, sir. The Washington Post has asked them. They have not explained how it was the foundation that ended up spending money instead of either Trump or Mar-a-Lago. They also haven't explained why he hasn't contributed any money since 2008.
Well, look, and these answers are all fair game, Chris, but I just wish there was as much interest in the activity.
There he goes into deflection mode.
Of the Clinton Foundation that we know accepted tens of millions of dollars from foreign countries and foreign donors who were then given access to Hillary Clinton while she was Secretary of State. I mean, the truth of the matter is what you see in the Clinton Foundation, and the Trump Foundation is a private charity by a private family that's helped many, many worthy causes over the years. The Clinton.
You can't prove that because, number one, he won't release his tax returns, and number two, there was a reporter out there that painstakingly contacted charities all across the country, and the only contribution he can find thus far is a $10,000 contribution to the New York Police Athletic League, PAL, which helps kids with things like play streets and various activities. That's the only thing he was able to find, okay? So if Mr. Trump wants to put that to bed as far as how generous he is, he needs to release his tax returns, or, you know something, don't even have to go that far. Just generate a list of all the charities that he personally has contributed money to. That's not a tax return. That's not even, Schedule A or the backup documents. That's just a list that he can go through, pull out, hand to the Washington Post or whoever else and say, these are all the charities that I've contributed to, and this is all the money I've contributed, and this came out of my personal pocket. That ain't gonna happen.
Foundation. Hillary Clinton was literally warned during her confirmation hearings, could be used by foreign donors and foreign governments to gain access and gain favor while she was Secretary of State, and yet she went on ahead and did it. And the fact that now emails have come to light that have shown a direct connection between those that were contributing to the Clinton Foundation and access that was given to those people, to the calendar and opportunities.
But Mike, access is not illegal per the Supreme Court. So what are you jumping up and down about?
To meet with Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State are deeply troubling to the American people. That's the kind of pay-to-play politics
I'm going to cut you off.
And Donald Trump is going to bring it to an end when he becomes president.
Governor?
That's not pay to play. It's pay to sit down with, but not pay to play, Mike.
I'm going to cut you off because we're going to be talking to a representative of the Clinton campaign next, and I'm sure you would like me to ask him that question. Governor Pence, thank you. I understand you'll be in the audience tomorrow night. Safe travel, sir.
Governor Pence, he was a mealy-mouthed guy that was on his way to getting voted out of office in Indiana. A Hail Mary pulled him up into the Trump campaign, and now he and Donald hopefully will both go flaming out and disappear into the sunset, especially him.